Honorable members, distinguished guests, the President and the guests of honor, you all remain standing until after the AU anthem and the anthem of Belarus.
Let's all unite and celebrate together. It's a song for our liberation. Let us dedicate ourselves to rise together to defend our liberty and unity. Oh, fils et filles de l'Afrique, chers du soleil, chers du ciel, faites souffler avec la vraie de vie. Let's all unite and sing together to uphold the bond of flame and destiny. Let us dedicate ourselves to fight together for see peace and justice on earth. Filhos da África, essência do sol, essência do céu, façamos da África da vida. Let us all unite and talk together to give the best we have to Africa. Then bring the long mankind in front of culture. Our pride and hope a break of dawn. Yeah, Africa. Asabsha Hindu Sama Africa Shajahan to Ayat.
Please be seated. Wait.
Honorable members of the Bureau of Vice Presidents, honorable members of Parliament, and our dignitaries who have joined us. May I proceed by first acknowledging our dignitaries in the room, in the chamber. I will later on introduce in more detail His Excellency Ego Segeyenko, Chairman, we call him Speaker of the House of Representatives of the National Assembly of Belarus, is in this chamber. Thank you. Honorable Thandi Moraka, Deputy Minister of International Relations and Cooperation of the Government of South Africa. She's over there. This one is very familiar to you. And it's a good morning this morning. We have in the chamber, Honorable, our former Vice President, recently member of the Bureau, who was the fourth Vice President, is in the chamber. Honorable Notoume Ango, is one of our special guests during this session. We also have His Excellency Ambassador and the Dean of African Ambassador, Ambassador Andre Zapayeke. Now, this one is a first. We've previously invited the diaspora to PAP. And this morning, we have Honorable Dr. Louis Georgestin. He's the Prime Minister of the State of the African Diasporan Parliament. Then we have other ambassadors. I know the ambassadors in this chamber. We acknowledge all the excellencies in this chamber. And online to present some messages later on, we have His Excellency Remy Ngoi, Chairman of the African Commission of Human Rights. We have the President of the SADC Parliamentary Forum, His Excellency President Roger Massien. We also have the President of ECOSOC, Kariu Badali, also online. Thank you very much. You can clap for them for being present.
At this point in the proceedings, I wish to invite the Honorable President to deliver his official statement.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. May I once more recognize the Vice Presidents of the Pan-African Parliament, Honorable Dr. Gayo, Honorable Jida, Honorable Lucia Passos in absentia. I recognize His Excellency, the President of the House of Representatives of the National Assembly of the Republic of Belarus, who is our guest of honor. Deputy Minister of International Relations and Cooperation in the Republic of South Africa, Honorable Thandi Moraka. The Dean of the African Ambassadors in the Republic of South Africa, Honorable Andre Zapayeke. Members of the diplomatic corps present here, the Prime Minister of the Parliament of the State of the African Diaspora, Honorable Dr. Louis Georgesteen, the Clerk of the Pan-African Parliament, Mrs. Lindwe Kumalo, representatives of the Department of International Relations and Cooperation of South Africa here present, and I've seen Dr. Ndimeni, distinguished resource persons, invited guests, members of the media fraternity, ladies and gentlemen, comrades and friends. I want to request that we observe a minute of silence in honor of the 40 men and women who were killed in Chad following an attack by Boko Haram insurgents on a military base in Bakram. The Pan-African Parliament stands in solidarity with the government and people of Chad during these difficult times. Let us also remember the innocent civilians who are victims of terrorism, violent extremism, and conflicts across Africa, Sudan, DRC, the Sahel region, the Great Lakes, among others. Can we observe a moment of silence? Thank you. As Pan-African Parliament, honorable members, guests of honor, we can do more to contribute to the promotion of peace, security, stability on this continent. We can do more as Pan-African Parliament. And I want to implore upon you that even during the next 2 weeks, we try and find ways that PAP can play a more assertive role as parliamentarians under the practice of parliamentary democracy, parliamentary diplomacy. We are, on this continent, the only institution which permeates every country to the grassroots. We have 5 representatives from each country, from the national parliaments. And these national parliaments are linked to every community, to every village on the continent. And the dinos, the diplomatic corps, listening to this will also help us to make other member states appreciate that role and see that our MPs are given the proper leverage to perform. And in the absence of proper support to PAP, that cannot be realized. We will not forget Palestine on the issues of peace and security. We continue to stand with Palestine, with the Palestine cause. As Pan-African Parliament, every opportunity we should make it clear that we support Palestine in their quest for their own territory, which is well projected in the two-state solution. And that is coming from the UN itself. When the United Nations and the AU endorse a particular peace initiative, we as PAP, it's our duty to promote and work closely to ensure that we promote that. And we do that under Article 3.2 of the PAP protocol, which enjoins us to promote principles of human rights and democracy. So by supporting Palestine, we are within our mandate. Honorable members, our guests of honor, we have come back after our September committee session and the July session. You will all agree that we now stand proudly before you today because there is no doubt that now we are fully functional as PAP. We are now carrying out activities, and this plenary session is a testimony that we are back to full operation, and we need to be heard, and our thrust and impact on the continent should be visible and be seen clearly. The citizens keep assessing the Union and the Pan-African Parliament, and they keep asking questions as to the relevance of our institutions, whether the African Union or Pan-African Parliament. But I think we need to say, fortunately now, we are not standing here, we are not meeting to lament issues of the past. We are now proudly saying, PAP, we are moving forward, and let's move forward. Our message to everybody on the continent and beyond is that without a parliament in any governance structure, there can be no accountability. Parliaments exist for a very clear purpose. And in the absence of a parliament, even imagine in your own country, imagine there was no parliament. It would be chaotic. There would be no accountability. I think the corruption we complain about would have been worse. Parliament are checking on the excesses of those who govern, those who have powers to govern, whether at national, at regional, or at continental level. A parliament is indispensable. And that's why, after 41 years of existence of the OAU, they all agreed, 2001 in CELT, that they need to pass this protocol establishing the Pan-African Parliament. After 41 years, they realized that there was a missing link in the OAU, now AU. And without a parliament, the AU, which is the OAU then, was paying lip service to the article in the Constitutive Act of the AU itself. The Constitutive Act of the African Union says the Union should promote democratic principles and institutions and the popular participation and good governance. You can't promote democratic principles and institutions and the popular participation and good governance without a parliament. I'm simply saying we have a very critical mandate and reason for existence, very, very critical. We are the ones that can bring the change to this continent to ensure that we even realize the objectives of Agenda 2063. That is our document. In terms of implementation, and we are enjoying ourselves in our own mandate as PAP that we should facilitate implementation of AU principles. So Agenda 2063 is ours to ensure that we facilitate implementation. We follow up on the issues of oversight. Are we oversighting that Agenda 2063 or not? Why are we not doing it? If we are not, can we come back and go back the reasons why we are not doing it? I will not remind you again the mandate of PAP, which is to ensure full participation of the African people in the economic development and integration of the continent. Are we, as PAP, ensuring the full participation of the African peoples in the economic development and integration of the continent? That's our mandate, and we are here for 2 weeks, starting today, tomorrow, Friday, next week again, Friday, working on this, Minister from DECO. We are happy you enable us to do our work. And we are here for 2 weeks, focusing on these issues, going ahead with our mandate. And indeed, Minister, you'll be happy to hear that after some breaks and jerks in our operations of PAP, we are really now everywhere. Despite budgetary constraints, we have defied the budgetary odds, and we have held, our committees are out there permeating into the continent to fulfill the mandate. Minister, you may want to know that we recently had a Human Rights Committee, Justice, the Bureau in Tanzania, Arusha, sharing working mechanisms between the court and the human rights side and in this parliament. We managed to participate as PAP at the UN Summit of the Future. Fortunately, we were even given space as PAP. We are recognized. There was a forum where we were discussing, a dialogue forum, and PAP sat on that forum and other presentations. We've concluded an advocacy mission for the ratification of protocols on persons with disabilities and the elderly, as well as social protection and social security of the African Union. We did this in Cote d'Ivoire. Something over the past 4 years had not happened. We had gone silent. Now we are there for Cote d'Ivoire. We have also had we are part of the 37 network of the African national human rights institutions. And this we have done. We were part of the colloquium on realizing economic, social, and cultural rights in Africa with a focus on the rights to education. This was in Banjul, the Gambia. as Pan-African Parliament. And in Zimbabwe, Victoria Falls, we held a workshop of awareness and sensitization on the model law on food and nutrition security in Africa. Our audit committee paid a visit to Uganda to benchmark on audit issues. And then a workshop by the Committee on Cooperation and Trade. They were in Tanzania pursuing issues of statelessness and citizenship. And also in Tanzania, a workshop on the Committee on Trade on the validation of model law on labor on the continent. Other activities with the FCTA, but as you can see, Minister, if I were to continue, I would spend the whole afternoon going through this list. So I'm simply saying we are back to functionality and we need your support. We paid a visit because of the reforms. We are performing, we are really trying our best, but there are a number of challenges, serious ones. Budget, if I went through figures, you will see that we are seriously underfunded. For example, this plenary session costs about 1.3 million, but the budget for it is 450, which we were given. Fortunately, when we lobbied for supplementary, I'm happy to say supplementary budget, honorable members, came out very well. We were given about 90% of our entitlement for the supplementary budget. And the minister, that has enabled us to meet for the 2 weeks. I think that one we should declare. That one is important. That on the supplementary budget, this time, the PRC acted much better. But there are other institutional bottlenecks, and these are very serious, Minister. I'm referring to you because you are key to communicating this message to the other structures or organs of the African Union. One, PAP is not being enabled to perform because of institutional, policy, legal bottlenecks. One, the protocol provides that we consider the budget of the African Union. We debate it, we make recommendations, it then goes back to Addis before it is approved by the policy organs. This is not taking place. Any parliament, and you are a minister, you know this, any parliament's business of oversight requires that from time to time we call the heads of commissions and other units within the AU to come to this parliament to account on certain issues and even answer questions. We have had serious problems in getting commissioners to come and answer on issues of agriculture. It can be health, transport, even finance budget. Yeah, that limits the parliament in terms of its oversight function. I will not talk of recruitment bottlenecks currently. I will not talk of funding issues, operations of the Bureau, MPs, conditions under which they operate, all those who share at a meeting that we have agreed will take place. And we therefore went to meet, I led a team is 2 weeks ago to Kenya to meet the president of Kenya, His Excellency William Ruto, is the head of the reforms in the African Union. So we wanted to present to him, and we did present to him the issues of this parliament. And we shared with him the following. The absence of legislative powers does constrain us in being a parliament in certain areas with teeth. Our oversight function and representative function need to be supported in the reforms, because currently AU commissions escape oversight. They escape oversight. And that is bad for accountability. And the whole issue of being democratic and allowing people to participate in the AU systems is compromised. And oversight by PAP is not duplication. When there's a Ministry of International Relations like yours, and in our PAP we also have Committee on International Relations, when that committee oversees you, it is performing a totally different function from the ministry. But this confusion is very wide and deep at the AU. And we shared also that the committees at PAP are not enabled to function. When you queue committees' activities, then it means you have basically taken the heart out of a human being, and the consequences are obvious. It's a long list of reform issues, which again we share with you, that we need to reposition Pan-African Parliament, Minister, to be able to perform its duties as a parliament. The whole issue, the principle, the doctrine of separation of powers, checks and balances. In the AU, I can say the issue of checks and balances is missing. And that's why even the people question the AU. The public, the citizens question the AU and say, what does it do? What is it delivering? Because there are no visible mechanisms of oversight, which is the checks and the balances. When we do pronouncements of Agenda 2063, the person who designs and drafts and develops the agenda cannot be themselves to evaluate themselves again. Some institution like a parliament should then come and report. Despite all this, we are confident that we are moving forward. We will never move backwards as PAP. We represent the people. And we get energy from the fact that the people look to us for progress. We have therefore been developing a PAP strategic plan, 2024 to 2028. We held a 2-day workshop, Friday and Saturday, last week. And this was very successful. And it's also the approach is to ensure that members of parliament themselves develop the plan. They don't know to just hear about it. And we will be, during this session, debating the strategic plan, which will position us in a particular direction to contribute to the union agenda. And we promise you to achieve that. We'll also, Minister, work on our image. Our image has been battered in the past, but I want to say, I think the dust on the face has now been removed. We are now even applying some lotion on our face because the dust is taken off. We are now moving, our image is better. That's why our supplementary budget was well considered by the African Union this time, because they also have a better view of the Pan-African Parliament. One of the things that we should deliver during this session is to conclude the issue of rules, amendment of rules of procedure. It's not a secret. We did rules, and the AU, or the Legal Council, gave an opinion that there were violations to the protocol. We are moving forward. We don't want to move backwards. We are saying whatever is considered a violation, lawyers may argue differently, but we don't want to get into arguments that will take us backwards. All the violations that they say are violations, we are removing them so that we move ahead. The violations have to be removed from our rules. And that we promise you that when you meet in February next year, there should be a report which says the Pan-African Parliament cleaned their rules to remove all the violations. And we stand proudly that we want to eliminate all the bottlenecks for performance. Otherwise, I want at this stage to say we have all the confidence that will perform. Our ambassadors here representing member states, the Dean representing member states, please be assured that this Parliament is back on feet, is running, and now our activities are speaking loudly that we are back and we'll move forward. And with the support from the ambassadors, member states, the support from the ambassadors yourselves and foreign ministries, this Parliament will be the Parliament that any other Parliament can emulate and say we want to be like PAP. I thank you very much. Our guests of honor, honorable members, we have people, institutions, organizations that we work with from time to time. And it's now time to give an opportunity to institutions that we invariably have to work with. And these will give solidarity messages. And I'll start with the Dean of Ambassadors, His Excellency Ambassador Andre Zapaeke. No, sorry, he's just coming again. He gave me a list, now he's changing the list. Sorry, Your Excellency. He's telling me to start with, and which is proper actually, Honorable Thandi Moraka, Deputy Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, Republic of South Africa, to deliver the welcome remarks.
Your Excellency, the President of the Pan-African Parliament, His Excellency Chief Fortune Zephania Charumbira, the Dean of the African Ambassadors, Your Excellency Ambassador Andrea Nzapayeke, the presiding officers of the AU ECOSOC who are facilitating for the virtual participation of other participants, Mr. Khalil Baudari, the chairperson of the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, whom I'm told that is participating in this parliament virtually as well, Honorable Remy Ngoi Lumbu, the Speaker of the Southern African Development Community Parliamentary Forum, His Excellency Roger Maindiense, who have graced us with his presence here today, the Chairperson of the House of Representatives of the National Assembly of Belarus, Your Excellency Igor Sengeyenko, honorable members of the Bureau who are present here today, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is indeed both a privilege and a profound honor for me to stand here before you today to deliver my maiden speech in this august house, representing our beautiful country, South Africa, on behalf of our president, who could not be here with us today, but he has delegated us at DERCO to come and deliver this address on behalf of the people of South Africa. Let me also take this opportunity to congratulate the newly sworn-in members of PAP, whom they've taken oath this morning to serve the people of the Pan-African Parliament with diligence. Congratulations, honorable members, to all of you. Honorable President, it is indeed my honor and a privilege to report to your good self that as the Deputy Minister in the Department of International Relations and Cooperation, I'm just being delegated the responsibility to deal with Africa as a whole. And PAP, it will be part and parcel of the project that I pay the much needed attention so that all of us working together, we can restore this glorious parliament to what it used to be. Allow me also, Honorable President, to join those who have really congratulated the President-elect of the people of Botswana, President Duma Boko, and also thank the people of Botswana in the manner in which they've exercised their democratic right in choosing the government of their own. And also, indeed, President, democracy, it is maturing in that part of the continent. It is indeed in this parliament that the realization of the slogan that says African solution to African problems will be realized, that was echoed by the Ghanaian political economist in 1993, Mr. George Aitei. Mr. President, the contribution of the Pan-African Parliament to the AU and the continent at large cannot be underestimated, with some of the key initiatives, such as the recent fact-finding mission by the Pan-African Parliament Committee on Trade, Customs, and Immigration Matters in Tanzania, and also an initiative on the representation of the PAP Committee on Justice and Human Rights at the 81st Ordinary Session of African Commission on Human and People's Rights that took place in Banjul, and the election observer missions that continues to go every time when we have elections in the country to make sure that elections that we hold in the continent really does reflect the will of the people in those respective countries. Indeed, Mr. President, I wish to commend the Pan-African Parliament on its initiatives of 2024 that addressed the 2024 theme of the AU under the following theme: Educate an African Fit for the 21st Century, wherein we are building resilient education systems for an increased access to inclusivity and lifelong quality and relevant learning for the African children, close quote. Mr. President, most of the representatives present here will agree with me that the outcomes of the deliberations of this very parliament contributed immensely to our national strategies that addresses the gaps on education that were created by different circumstances where we have seen our children being disadvantaged in this regard. Mr. President, Africa does not only need educated citizens, but citizens with quality education that can contribute to social cohesion and conflict resolution mechanisms, wherein we are going to be promoting matters of peace and stability in the region, and also an education that fosters a sense of identity, unity, and shared values amongst Africans and the 6th region of Africa's diaspora. Allow me to also applaud the initiative of the Bureau to strengthen the collaboration between the Pan-African Parliament and the 6th region. Indeed, Honorable President, I need to report to this august House that immediately after my appointment, I happened to attend the 6th Region Preparatory Conference of the 9th Pan-African Congress that took place in Salvador in Brazil this year. It was clear, President, in that conference that the outcome of that conference will help us as the people of the continent in a collective reflection of the process to deal with issues of reparatory justice. This issue of the reparatory justice will really help us to deal with the issues of colonialism and slave trade and the transatlantic slave trade that used to happen in the past. And it can be correct that we are only seeing the Caribbeans and the Pacific Islands being vocal on this matter. It's high time that as Africans, we need to join those CARICOM's members in this progressive call for reparatory justice. Mr. President, South Africa has always regarded this House as a key institution towards contributing to the work of national parliaments, including sharing of contributions and decisions that have been advanced by this very same parliament. The model laws crafted and adopted by this organ truly exemplifies the triumph in a Pan-African parliament excellence, which becomes a voice for almost 1.5 billion people of the African continent. Indeed, Mr. President, of equal importance is the African Union's membership of the G20, which gives an opportunity for Africa and its diaspora to be part of an inclusive developmental agenda that this multilateral forum is bringing to the continent. It is indeed an honor and a privilege, Mr. President, to report to this august House that South Africa will commence with its presidency of the G20 in the coming month, which is December 2024. And we are making a call to all of you as the people of the Pan-African Parliament to utilize the presidency of South Africa to your own advantage. Mr. President, the AU's developed the African Free Continental Trade Area so that we can enhance the intra-African trade, and it has also created a model that unifies the African markets and also promotes development and encourage investment opportunities for sustainable development for the continent of Africa. This Parliament has impressively taken on its thematic issue, this excellent collaboration and the partnership of the AfCFTA initiative. In conclusion, Mr. President, I wish you all the best in the deliberations of the 4th ordinary session of the 6th Parliament, and also express my government's recognition of the pivotal role played by the AU organ of the Pan-African Parliament. Indeed, I'm also certain that the discussions will be robust, constructive, and also fruitful for the continent of Africa. Once again, I welcome all of you here in this august House on behalf of the people of South Africa, and I wish that you are going to experience a pleasant stay in South Africa with the people of South Africa, that we all know that they are warm and welcoming to all of you. Thank you, Mr. President. I want to say asante sana, merci beaucoup, muito obrigado. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister. Another round of applause. I am happy that your speech shows that you understand PAP issues very well. Our next speech of solidarity will come from His Excellency Ambassador Andre Zapaeke, Dean of African Ambassadors, accredited to South Africa.
Good afternoon. Please allow me to recognize some of us here, particularly Honorable Chief Fortune Charumbira, the Honorable President of the Pan-African Parliament, Honorable Thandi, Moraka, Deputy Minister in the Department of International Relations and Cooperation, representing the government of South Africa, our host country. Honorable Speaker of the Parliament of Belarus, guests of honor of the Pan-African Parliament, welcome to South Africa, welcome to Africa, welcome to the country of Nelson Mandela. Excellency Dr. Louis George Tin, Prime Minister of the African Diaspora. As you know, the 6th region of the African Union, honorable members of the Bureau of the Pan-African Parliament, honorable parliamentarians, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Andre Zapaike, Ambassador of the Central African Republic, but standing here in my capacity as Dean of the African Diplomatic Corps to bring a message of support to the Pan-African Parliament. First of all, allow me to congratulate our African countries for the continued progress they are making to make in the areas of democracy, human rights, and rule of law. Our congratulations go particularly to a country like Botswana for the recent democratically election of their new leaders. Many elections are yet to come, like in Namibia soon. And we pray God to continue inspiring our people and leaders to ensure respect of the rule of law during the coming election processes. Besides elections, the coming year will also be an important year for the continent, with the African Union becoming full member of the G20, sorry, my phone is becoming a full member of the G20, and South Africa sharing these organizations and also organizing for the first time a G20 summit on African soil. This will give the continent the opportunity to push its key agendas. This parliament can play a role to make this possible by encouraging national legislatures to owe the G20 processes as well as the principles of African unity and regional integration. To do so, the Pan-African Parliament deserves the support of all of us, mainly the support of our states, the founding members of the Pan-African Parliament. The coming year will be a critical year for the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement amid growing insecurity in many parts of the continent and of the world. Many items will be on the agenda of the continent, such as the next COP scheduled to take place soon in Azerbaijan, and also the negotiations about the reform of the UN Security Council. The next African Union Commission should put on its agenda the strengthening of the role of the continent as a key player in the world. For that, priority should be given to the implementation of the African Free Trade Agreement and to the solving of the many peace and security challenges that weaken the capacity of many countries to build strong nations. Your role as representative of the 2 billion men and women on the continent is crucial and is to lead Africa safely into the new area of multilateralism. Welcome to the representative of the African diaspora. The African Group of Diplomatic Missions has put in place a strong working tie with ambassadors of the 6th region of Africa, mainly ambassadors of the Caribbean and Latin American countries, where we found a sizable number of African descendants. As always, the PAP can be assured of the full support of the 50 African heads of diplomatic missions based in South Africa. The world is more and more characterized by insecurity, including food insecurity. Time has come for our people to realize that our fate is in our own hands. The expectations of our population are high, and the national parliament, as well as the Pan-African Parliament, should be at the forefront. We are delighted to take note of the fact that the Pan-African Parliament is back on track and stands strongly for what it was meant for, that is, to be a symbol of unity and cooperation between African nations and to promote the ideals of Pan-Africanism and regional integration. Thank you for that. President Sharumbira, thank you, the members of the Bureau of the Pan-African Parliament and all honorable parliamentarians who show clearly how they are dedicated to the Pan-African Parliament. To conclude, let me say this. If we Africans, we are united, we will stand. And the Africa we want will be at the end of the tunnel. On behalf of my colleagues, ambassadors, those who are in this room, and those who could not be here due to their work agenda, I wish you all a very productive session, and more specifically, we wish to the President of the Pan-African Parliament to continue being the good visionary he is for Pan-African Parliament and for the continent. As last word, I would like to wish to the guests of honor a wonderful stay in South Africa, the land of Nelson Mandela. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Excellency Ambassador Zapaeke. Another round of applause. I now call upon for a solidarity message, Dr. Louis Georges Tin, Prime Minister of the State of African Diaspora, SOAD, Parliament.
Dear President of the Pan-African Parliament, dear Deputy Minister of DIRCO, dear Vice Presidents of the PAP, dear Presidents of the regional caucuses, dear distinguished guests, including the Dean of Ambassadors, the Speaker of Belarus, dear members of the Parliament, I want to pay my respects to all of you. Let me introduce myself, if you don't mind. My name is Dr. Louis George Tin, and I'm the Prime Minister of the State of the African Diaspora. SOAD is the acronym. And I'm coming from Martinique in the French West Indies. Officially, I'm French. In fact, I am African. Thank you. I am delivering this speech today on behalf of our government and also on behalf of our parliament, led by His Excellency Melvin Brown, coming from Panama. So, first of all, I would like to commend the head of state of the African Union, who, in 2003, unanimously adopted a visionary resolution. That the resolution states that the African diaspora is the sixth region of Africa. That region alone includes 350 million people all over the world. In Brazil only, you already have 100 million people of African descent. So, some of these people left Africa 1, 2, 3 generations ago as migrants. Others left Africa in a context of slavery when they were deported 200, 300, 400, 500 years ago, but all of them are of African descent. So that is the population we are representing, and it's our honor to be here with you, speaking with all the regions of Africa. Thank you very much. Several years later, I received the support of Her Excellency Dlamini Zuma, who was then, as you remember, the chair of the African Union and of the Commission of the African Union. And I would like to take this opportunity to send my greetings to the South African delegation, who is hosting the Parliament today, of course. Then, after she gave me this inspiration to work on the diaspora, we also received the support of the President of the African Union. In that time, it was the President of Mauritania. So let me also send my greetings to the Mauritanian delegation and to the North African Caucus. Thank you. And the President of Mauritania, as the President of the African Union, gave me a mandate to create a body to represent the African diaspora, to give substance, I quote his words. So that's why he invited me to the summit of the head of state, which happened in 2018 on July the 1st. And then I was invited to present the constitution of the state of the African diaspora. Based on this constitution, Then we created the institutions. So first of all, the cabinet, which I'm leading with the two vice prime ministers, Her Excellency Keturah Amwako from UK, and His Excellency Hugh Johnson from Jamaica. Then we created also our parliament, the SOAD Parliament, led by Melvin Brown from Panama, as I said. We also have a royal chamber because we need to pay a tribute to our kings and queens on the continent. And this institution is co-chaired by Queen IG and also by Chief Charambira himself. And I want to thank him so much for accepting this position. That's quite a honor for us. Then, beyond the institution, we created some programs of action in all sectors of activity, from economy to finance, from mines to energy, from education to health, etc. So basically, we are a state without borders, and our mission, as you understand, is to reinforce Africa through the diaspora and the diaspora through Africa. So you may ask, why is the purpose of my presence here? I would say, first of all, we would like to bring a political contribution to the continent because, in fact, this is what Pan-Africanism is all about. When the continent and the diaspora can work together and make significant decisions for themselves in a state of full sovereignty. This is what Pan-Africanism is all about. So, we would like also to bring an economic, social, and cultural contribution to the continent. That's why we have secured agreements with many financial partners, and that these funds are available for all the delegations here, for all the countries of Africa. These funds are non-refundable funds, and they are meant to support African countries in a context of climate disasters. We can see, of course, all the things that are happening everywhere, floods, droughts, etc. So these funds are made available. I hope I can have a discussion with South Africa, but also with all the countries here, because we would like to also contribute with our financial resources for all of you. So that's also something we would like to contribute to. So I will remain here 2 weeks. I'm sure we will have time, to discuss more. And I don't want to forget also about heritage. So that's why we started a campaign on the restitution of our artifacts. I'm so glad, Her Excellency, that you brought the topic of reparation. We do believe in reparation, and we managed to have restitution of the artifacts of Benin. And hello to the Beninese delegation here. So we work with President Talon, and we would like to do for the other countries of Africa what we have already done for Benin, because it's not only a matter of culture, it's a matter of sovereignty. So that's why we do believe in reparation and restitution. So before finishing my speech, I would like to salute again, in particular, Chief Fortune Charambira, who has given his support to us for 3 years now. Also, I would like to salute, of course, Honorable Suleiman Saho. Also, His Excellency Alaiji Mbao, who is the head of the ECOWAS caucus. And we wouldn't be here if it were not for them. Thank you. And also, allow me to conclude this session, this presentation, with the phrase that we always say in our government at the end of a meeting. We always say, Uhuru Africa, Uhuru Diaspora. So as we know in Swahili, that means freedom. And Swahili is one of our official languages. So if you want to say with me, Uhuru Africa, Uhuru Diaspora. So let's say together, Uhuru Africa, Uhuru Diaspora. And happy birthday to Pap. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Diaspora. Thank you, the Prime Minister. Another round of applause. We now move to virtual presentations. We start with Mr. Khalil Baudali, the presiding officer of the AU ECOSOC.
Excellencies, Honorable Chief Fortune Ambira, President of the Pan-African Parliament, Excellency Honorable Madam Thandi Moraka, Deputy Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, Republic of South Africa, Excellency Igor Tirichenko, Chairman of the House of Representatives of National Assembly of Belarus, in our guest of honor, Excellency Ambassador Andrei Zapayeki, Dean of African Ambassadors, Honorable Remy